Well, hello, everybody, and welcome into Cruising Through Life Live. We are your hosts, Jeremy.
And I'm Cheryl. And together we make up
Cruising is Fun Anytime and JNS Adventures. Welcome into the live stream and also the replay.
And I want to welcome in everybody. You're going to welcome in the people because I want to first, well, after you welcome in everybody, I'm so confused.
Mm-hmm.
I want to tell them about our guest, my guest, because it's my guest, because I saw him first. So I want to talk about him first.
Okay.
Okay.
We got Jamaican Farmer's Hut has made it in. Z's Gaming Channel.
All the way from Jamaica, man.
Eddie Lugo Studios.
Hello, Eddie.
The Virginia Bushcrafter is in the chat. Hello, welcome in.
Good afternoon.
Also, Jaden0428, Joshua Gabriel.
Hello.
Has made it in. Hello, welcome in, everybody.
And Z.
Yeah, Z's Gaming Channel.
Okay.
Has made it in.
Now, I'm so excited. Today's show, let me tell you first about the guest. You know how YouTube give you recommendations to watch. And if the recommendation is something that I want to watch, I always click on it. And as you know, I like to fish. I like the outdoors. I like all of that. But I fish more than I do camping because I don't know that much about going out in the woods. So let me explain to you. About a month ago, I got the recommendation from YouTube to watch the Virginia Bushcrafter. And let me tell you, I was like this. And not only was I like this, I went and told him, hey, watch this with me. And he watched it with me. And we watched it to the very end. Let me tell you, not very many, well, I can't say not very many because we do watch a lot of videos to the end, especially cruise ships that we're going on. But the Virginia, I said it, the Virginia Bushcrafter, he kept us glued to the TV. And if you haven't subscribed to him, check him out.
Yeah, his link is up at the top of the chat. We went ahead and pinned his link. That way you can all go ahead over there and see some real good videos.
I'm telling you. And if you're interested in that outdoorsy type stuff, see, we like to do cruising. We like to do land travel. We like to do outdoorsy stuff.
And he says he's waiting to come in. So I went ahead and posted the link right up underneath your comment. So you can go ahead and follow that link, allow access to microphone. And oh, you're already here. Oh, welcome in.
And good, hello. And
how you doing, Cheryl? Jeremy?
I'm doing.
Jeremy?
Thank you.
We're good.
We're doing good. If you want to share this video to your audience and get watch time hours, you can do that.
You can hit the blue bar up here that says share this stream with your audience, and then you can go live on your channel at the same time.
Yes.
Okay, stream this to your audience. Okay.
See there, it's a bonus.
And now your community can mesh with ours. You know, everybody can meet in the chat, and that way we're gonna ask all of our people to drop #creator in the chat. That way their link will come up. That way your followers can hit our people if they're interested in cruising. or just traveling, or bushcrafting.
Bushcrafting. Because this is what I did. Before we start talking to you, let me tell you what I did. I did a quick survey with my family, you know, and it was funny. You know, we did that. I said, what's a bushcrafter? nobody knew what a bushcrafter was. And these are people that went to college. What happened?
He popped out for a second.
Okay.
Hang on. He's coming back in.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. These are people that went to college, graduated from college, got a real 6-figure jobs and all of this, you know, in the family.
Mhm.
Nobody could tell me what a bushcrafter was.
Nope.
So this is good. And we like to put out, we like to promote people, you know. We're all about getting that monetization thing, but we're not in a rush. You know, we like to promote people on our show,
Right.
Yes.
to show people different stuff that's going on, you know, in the world. And
Yeah, because YouTube is an open community. You don't have to fall
Yes.
into a niche with YouTube.
Yes.
You really don't. There's no rules out there that says that, you know, you can only talk about bushcrafting and we can only talk about cruising. Maybe the bushcrafter wants to go on a cruise, or maybe the cruisers want to go take an excursion. You know, I
Right.
mean, it all meshes together. So
and
welcome.
this is so and welcome,
Yeah.
welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for
Okay.
having me.
Of course. And like I said earlier, your vlog, that the minimum that gear to
Mhm.
take,
It's the 28-minute one. It's the
Yeah.
28-minute video you put out. Yeah.
and let me tell you, we watched it from the beginning to the end.
Yep.
And that's saying a lot
Thank you.
for us.
Thank you.
Because we normally stay on a video maybe 15 minutes at most.
All depends, you know, if it keeps the attention, if it keeps our attention, then we'll finish it off. You know,
And that's what we did with your video.
Yeah.
We
Thank
finished
you.
it.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate it.
then we went on, you know, and that's why I didn't send you any questions. Normally we send questions,
Mhm.
but the questions we would send you wouldn't apply to you, you know,
Okay.
because we were more interested in your craft
Okay.
than how you videotape, you know, how do you
Okay.
vlog,
Right,
you
right.
know. It was just your craft was more interesting. So we got more
Okay.
people in. You want-
Yeah. Let's see. Tidy Acme England has made it into the chat. Hello, welcome in.
all the way from England.
Yeah.
Oh.
And we have made it down to the bottom. Hello, everybody. Welcome.
Okay, tell us how you got started, and
Sure.
then okay,
Okay. First, can you hear me okay?
we hear
Yes.
you perfect.
Okay, great, great. Okay. Well, I first started bushcrafting about maybe a little bit over a year ago from hunting. And I would start to hunt. And of course, sometimes you're out there most of the time just waiting for something to come by, a deer or something. And I happened to start looking at the YouTube, and I saw this channel named Really Big Monkey One, where this guy made a bed out of paracord alone. So I tried it. It actually worked. And one thing led to another. I started to watch more bushcrafting shows. And I really said to myself, this is something that is very meaningful, very useful. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun, and it's very rewarding. But I basically started maybe a little bit over a year ago, and I started from actually out doing hunting.
Okay, and I also because like I said, I once I got hooked, I really got hooked. I started going from video to video.
Oh, yeah. We ran your playlist.
Yes, we did.
Oh, thank
Yeah.
you. Thank
So you got watch hours on that.
you. Okay, thank you.
I also saw where you started in April. It was cold and raining off and on,
Mhm.
you know. But how was that? You know, you went from doing an A-frame. What do you prefer, an A-frame or a
Is it a
plow?
lean-to? Oh, plow point.
Into?
Yes.
Lean-to. Okay, well, the lean-to, I prefer the lean-to more than any other configuration. And the reason I prefer the lean-to is because I can see in front of me, I can see to the left and to the right. And behind me, all I have to do is just stand up. The lean-to allows for me more awareness, and it's quicker to put up. The lean-to is probably the simplest shelter to put up. Now, what I do, I usually take 2 tarps that are 5 by 7, and they are Mylar on the inside. And I'll put one at a 45-degree angle and use the other one as a floor so it radiates heat. And I'll have the fire maybe 3 feet from me. So I have found out the lean-to for me, it's the one that I like the best. Now, the plow point, I just really became familiar with that. I bought a tarp and I tried it out in the backyard. And I honestly think that's something I'm going to like as well. But the issue that I'm thinking about now, where am I going to keep that roaring fire? It's going to have to be at a little distance, because in the middle, if you notice on the plow point, there was a paracord that goes up to the tree. And for me, I like to have the fire at least 3 feet away from me. So I'm going to try the ply point and have the fire to the side somewhat. But I've done the A-frame before. The A-frame it will allow you to keep a lot of heat in, but it's basically it's a tarp that's in the middle, and the paracord goes through the middle and 2 45-degree angles. Now, the thing is with the A-frame, you're open on both ends, but you can close one of the ends or both of the ends if you prefer. Basically starting out, I started with A-frames because they were really, really easy. But I just found out the lean-to for me is something that I prefer over any shelter that I've tried.
Okay. Now, when I was looking at the A-frame, I think it is, when you went out there and you said that you're going to spend the night in the A-frame. Okay. You can't go into it in the back. Am I correct?
That with the A-frame now, it depends on how you construct it. But the one that I did the other night, I think it was last week, I spent the night out there. And that is a debris shelter. Now, the way I constructed that, I could only go in one way. Well, there's really 2 ways, but it would have been tough. But I intentionally left half of the front open so that I could get in, because if you notice, it's built on a slant, and all the way at the very end, you can't get in from that area, which I initially thought about putting it's a Mylar emergency blanket there to close it off. But I was thinking to myself, while I'm in this A-frame, it would be good to be able to see from the bottom of my feet and look out, because I did have a light on the inside. And if you notice I'm not sure if I did any shots with me actually in it, and I'll tell you why in a few minutes, but where my head was, that was open as well. But I really enjoyed making that A-frame debris shelter. Now, it started out as just a lean-to. And the more you're out there, it's like, well, I'm just going to add a little bit more and a little bit more. So the next weekend, I added 2 walls up near the head area.
Yeah.
And then I thought, this would really be good if I could enclose it. So I enclosed the front, just basically all of those branches that I was using, those are considered the ribs. So I put ribs, on both sides at a slanted angle, and then I covered them with greenery, or they call them the boughs from other trees, and covered them up with leaves. I really enjoyed it. It was very, very rewarding. But here is the thing always say about learning practice is once you actually do it and you get out there, then you find out ways that I could have made it much better. Now I'm going to do it again, but this time what I'm going to do is construct it to be somewhat taller because I'm 6 feet. Now the thing is, I had a bivy sack in there, and I usually keep the fire 3 feet away from me, but since there were so many leaves, I guess I had the fire maybe 8-9 feet away from me. And what I learned, just having the fire at a little further distance, it does make a difference. So that's one thing I learned. And another thing I learned about with me being 6 feet, getting up at night, going out of the shelter to stoke the fire, and then have to walk back so carefully to make sure you don't fall into the fire, kneel down, get back in the bivy sack, and lay there. And then you find out maybe 15 minutes, well, I'm getting cold again. And I'm repeating that routine. So what I learned from that experience is to make where it's the spine area that goes up, have that taller, but because of nature, I could not make it taller because that was a fallen tree. But I have made one before where I actually constructed the spine. Now, another thing I learned after doing that, and it took me 3 weeks in the morning that I was leaving, I noticed, look at all of the down trees. And one thing I'm always saying, safety. Look for safety, look for widowmakers. I totally did not, because I was so excited about just making this A-frame debris shelter and actually seeing what it would be like to actually sleep in there. So the next morning when I was leaving, I looked at one of the trees where I was chopping some of the branches. That was a down tree. My spine was a down tree. Behind me was another down tree. So that tells me if a strong wind comes there could be a good chance of a tree actually falling on me. And if you're somewhat dozing, so those are things that I learned, but it was after 3 weeks because of the excitement and what I was looking forward to. I kind of missed one of the steps of, the 5 W's that you go into the bush, water, wind, wildlife, widowmakers, and things like that. But all in all, it was a very good experience. That is probably the most difficult shelter I've made, but I really want to do it again, which will be when I do it again, it will be the 3rd one. But I think it's something that when you start to bushcraft, and actually many people have asked me about bushcrafting, and they say, well, you're basically camping. Bushcrafting it's not hiking. Actually, when you are bushcrafting, you should know your destination before you leave your residence, because what you are going to do, you're going out to explore a certain area. So the way to do that is by actually with a map and a compass. And I'm still learning those 2 tools. But most of the places I go to, I'm familiar with them. But when it comes to bushcrafting, what you're going out there to do is actually construct things. So whether it's a tarp, whether you're using a tent, or if you're using nature, the first thing I suggest is constructing a shelter to protect you against the weather elements, whether it's the sun or the coldness. You want to protect yourself, and you want to make sure you are near water or you have sufficient water, and you want to make sure that you have food. And if you're out there more than one day, you want to know when to start foraging food. And that's something I'm learning as well. But the most important thing, is the fire. So you're going out there to construct your shelter, making sure you have water, food, and one of the most important thing is the fire, because we've all been taught when we were younger, don't play with fire, where we're
Right.
not actually playing with fire, but that fire is going to allow you to thrive, survive, and so forth. That fire is going to keep predators at a bay. I've never had a problem so far. It's going to
Okay.
allow you to purify, your water. It's going to allow you to cook, and that fire becomes your friend. I mean, just to hear the crackling and the popping, and knowing you're out there by yourself at 1, 2, 3 in the morning, that's your best friend. But what I try to emphasize, building a fire is a skill, and you really don't build it that quickly, because we know 5 components of a fire is having a combustible, which can be your ferrocerium rod or your matches or your lighters or flint and
Mm-hmm.
steel, something to create a spark. And then you have to have tinder, something that is going to catch a spark. And my suggestion is anything that is fluffy, more than likely it will catch that spark. Now you can also use do-it-yourself tinders, which are cotton balls and Vaseline, Gorilla Tape, things like that. But because of bushcrafting and I want to be as natural as possible, I always want to try to use more of nature. So I will sometimes scrape bark or off of a tree.
I saw that.
Yeah, and use that as my tinder.
Mm-hmm.
And then I would take some of the wood and I would baton it to make kindling. Now, once you have the ferrocerium rod that put a spark on the tinder, you're going to get some flames. But then you put your kindling on there, which is usually feather sticks or very small twigs to build that fire up. And then your 4th component is going to be larger pieces of wood, which is going to be wrist size or larger to sustain the fire. And your last component is definitely going to be the air. Now, a lot of times the fire will start to go out. So you will have to feed it oxygen just by waving your hand, your cap, or what I have is a bellow, telescopic little thing, looks like a TV antenna. And if you blow directly on the fire, you're providing it with fuel, with oxygen, and that would keep the fire going. But the thing is, once you get a bed of coals, you're pretty good for the duration. But the thing is, what I emphasize to people is that if you know you're going to be there overnight, you never stop getting wood. When you think you have enough wood, go and get some more. On this last trip, I had enough wood. I think I really had more than enough wood. But by constantly getting up, putting wood on, going to lay down, about 4 o'clock in the morning, I made a mistake because I thought it was about 5 or 5:15. I said, I want to burn all of this wood before I leave. So I took all of the remaining wood and dumped it on the fire. Then I realized it's only 4:15.
Oh, wow.
So I still had small pieces that I had to strategically put into the fire. So the thing with the fire is you don't want to rush it. You always want to have all of your materials in place before you strike that ferrocerium rod. And you only want to start using that fire when necessary, because late at night, I mean, you can go into the bush and it can be 80 degrees during the day. It will drop. For some reason, it is always colder in the bush. The night that I was there, I think when I entered, it was about maybe 60 degrees. It got low as 29 and 30 degrees that night. So, and I was dressed properly. I didn't have a coat, but what I learned again, with me being 6 feet taking off, getting out of a bivy sack, putting my head underneath, walking carefully to a wood pile, feeding the fire, walking carefully back to the opening, get into the bivy sack. And then you have to be careful because even when I sat there, I can lay there and sometimes maybe bump my head, because the entrance was so low. So those are a lot of things to consider when you're out by yourself. And I've been out with other people before, and that's fun also. But the reason why I really enjoy going by myself, because you really find out what you really know and what you don't know. And I've always left with, I've got to work on this. I have to work on this. I have to learn this. It's always, it's for example, when you're in school or college, there's an end, the school year is going to end, or you're going to get your degree, or there's a destination. But with bushcrafting, it's everlasting. It never ends. It never ends. So, but it's something that I just truly enjoy.
I see that. I see you truly enjoy. And another vlog that I looked at and I liked is, what is the minimum gear you would take into the bush?
Right.
What is some of the gear? Did you bring some of that with you?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
When I again, it starts out with your cutting tools, because I think once I go out there, if I have a good knife, I can create anything with that knife, whether it is making feather sticks, whether it is splitting wood. The knife is, to me, all the tools are important, but the knife to me is the most important, because I can even use that knife as a shovel. But I'm never just going to bring just a knife. It is going to be a knife, a saw, and a hatchet. Those are going to be my cutting tools. And then I'm definitely going to have a combustible. I always have at least 2 ferrocerium rods, at least some matches and lighter that I will use only if I'm separated from my ferrocerium rod. And then the next thing is container, which I always bring sufficient water. If I'm near water, I won't bring as much because I know where I'm going. And the next thing is to make sure that I have cover, something that I can sleep under, which is going, in this case, it was the A-frame debris shelter, something that I can sleep in, which was the bivy sack, and something that I can sleep on, which was the bedroll, to keep the ground from drawing the heat out of me. And the next thing I'm definitely going to bring is 100 feet of paracord and 100 feet of number 36 bank line. Now, one of my objectives when making the debris shelter was not to use any man-made materials, but even though I did not use any man-made materials, I still brought that paracord just as a safety. The next item I'm going to bring is my headlamp. Now, we consider that as a candle, but I had a headlamp to allow my hands to be free. And I also had 2 hanging lights on both ends, as well as a UCO lantern, maybe 50 feet away from me. So that is the headlight. The next thing is cargo tape. Now, that cargo tape, which is Gorilla Tape, I always say get the best tape that you can. The Gorilla Tape will allow you, assist you if there's first aid. You can use that as a Band-Aid, put gauze around it, and wrap and cut a strip and use it as Band-Aids. You can use Gorilla Tape as tinder, pull some off, go to the sticky side and strike the ferrocerium rod. You can use it to repair your clothes, which I've done before. I've actually repaired a pair of boots I had while I was in the bush. One of the soles just totally came off, so I wrapped it with Gorilla Tape. So the Gorilla Tape. The next one is a cotton bandana. That bandana can be used for medical reasons. You can make a sling out of it. if you can cut it and use it as part of a bandage, you can use that as a signal. You can use it if you're really hot to wet it and put it around you. So that's the cotton bandana.
Hmm.
The many uses for the bandana. You can make char cloth. If you're using flint and steel, you can use that as a part of the firecraft. The next item is a compass. Now, I'm really surprised and not surprised of how many people do not know how to use a compass. Everyone says take a compass, you'll never get lost, but you have to know how to use it. And I'm honest with you, I'm really just learning to use a compass. I will always set my compass when I leave, and coming back, I'll use that compass, but I also still use a GPS system just as a backup. But so the compass, and the next one is a canvas, a sail needle, which I'm still looking to purchase. Now that canvas sail needle, you can use that to stitch up part of your rucksack or your clothing or something like that. It's a sail needle. And also, of course, a first aid kit of the utmost importance. Yes. Because if you're out there by yourself and you need medical help, the first thing that you want to do is stop the bleeding. So a first aid kit. And now I have so much stuff in my first aid kit that I'm still learning to use. I have burn cream, antiseptic cream, alcohol pads, bandages, Tylenol, ibuprofen, this thing called foot mold, so having a first aid kit is very, very important. But that's 10 things, but those 11 things at a minimum, if I'm going out just for one day, I'm taking those minimum things. Now, they may not be as large, like when I go hunting, I take maybe a 7-inch knife and a very small hatchet. But nevertheless, I'm going to take that as well as a multi-tool, because on the multi-tool, you're going to have a blade and a saw. And on mine, those are the two that I would really depend on, even though it has scissors, Phillips screwdriver, common screwdriver. Yeah. Always having cutting tools. Yes. Yeah. So those are the items that at a minimum that I would go into the bush with.
Okay. Next question. What made you start going into the bush? Like, did you just say, I'm going to do this? I know it was a year ago. Yes. What made you start saying, I'm going to do this and I'm going to make a YouTube channel out of it? Because it's not those many, like I have some outdoorsy people as subscribe to me. And when I told them that you were coming on, they said, I'm going to make a point. I'm coming to the show, because it's not those many people that do what you do and put it out there on YouTube, know.
Well, again, like I said, I started from fishing, but to be honest with you, politics came into it. And I really don't like discuss politics, but you keep hearing people saying, if you have to bug out, yes, but you also have to think about bugging in, because I think it would take an awful lot for me to have to leave my residence. But if I had to, I want to make sure that I am capable of doing it. I don't want to wait till the very first time that I have to. So that's what really made me say, you know what? If I'm going to be out here, I really want to be able to take care of myself, because when I go out hunting, before I started to bushcraft, I really didn't take that much stuff. I would never have enough material to say if I'm going to stay overnight. If I was going hunting and got caught overnight, I would just have to do the best that I could. But when I started bushcrafting, like I said, you start watching bushcrafting and YouTube, and you're saying,
Mhm.
what if? Which,
Mhm.
like I said, I very seriously doubt if I'm ever going to have to leave my resident for any reason. But if I have to, on the other end of the spectrum, I want to be able to make sure that I know that I can go out there and that I can thrive and that I can survive. I
Mhm.
want to make sure that I can go to a safe place and know that I'm going to be there safely until rescue comes. I want to be able to know how to call the rescue squad just by signaling, just by using the universal language of a whistle. There's a
Mhm.
universal language, 3 short, 3 long, 3 short. They know you need help. By having the headlights with the flashing lights, that is a signal. So that's what really put me into it. And the more I did it, it's just something that I
Yeah.
just truly enjoy. I mean, I was today, it's like, it's like I'm not going out today because I know you're going to have your live. I may go out tomorrow, but I know it's like every 7 days, even if I don't make it into the bush, I'm going to go in my backyard and practice something.
Right. Right.
It's a continuous learning experience. It's continuous education. So yeah, that it was like I said, politics. If I have to leave, I know I'll be able to. And I think like you guys do a lot of cruising, and I swim a lot, not as much as I used to. So I know even if I was on a ship and I have a flotation device, I know I'm going to be safe. As long as I have that flotation device and I can lay on my back,
Mhm.
I'm going to be safe. So I always look at things like that.
I have a question.
Sure.
Do you carry in your pack with you any old school devices that may have a new school twist on it, like a solar battery charger for your phone? That way you can continue to vlog while you're out there in the bush.
Yes. What I carry, I have 3, I think they're called battery solar packs.
Mm-hmm.
2 of them are 8 milliamps, and one of them is a 10 milliamp. And then I have another charger that I keep at home, but I make sure that's fully charged. So at least I have 4 chargers.
Yeah.
Here again, what I have learned is that I need to get at least a 25 milliamp,
Yeah.
because my 8 milliamps, they would charge my phone for maybe 10 minutes. It will not give me a full charge.
Right.
Even with my GoPro batteries, they would charge my GoPro batteries for maybe 10 minutes, and that's it. So the charging capability is not as strong as I would like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the good thing about it, those battery packs, they do have flashlights on them. So I'm
Right.
always going to have a flashlight
Mm.
on those solar battery packs. But again, what I'm looking to purchase is a solar battery pack with at least a 25 milliamp. And I'm just learning about this,
Mm-hmm.
but I want to make sure that I'm going to be able to charge my phone fully. And another thing about that, I always carry 2 telephones with me. If
Good.
I misplace one telephone,
Yep.
I can call the other one. And before I leave my vehicle, I make sure that the volume of both of the telephones are fully up. So a lot of times, if you're leaning over, the phone may fall out of your pocket. Or if
Mhm.
you're putting it in your back pocket, you may think you put it in your back pocket and dropped it on the ground. So you
Mhm.
always have an extra phone. And in both phones, I have emergency contacts as well as the game warden. I think the game warden would be able to get to me quicker than someone else.
True.
Yeah.
That is true.
That's a good idea.
And you know what else was fascinating to me? I was looking at you light, like you didn't rub 2 sticks together,
Right.
but you did it with
Flint and
the
steel.
Yeah, flint and
Yeah.
steel.
Flint and steel.
that was
Yeah.
amazing to
Mhm.
me.
Thank you. Yeah, I like experimenting with different things, But with the flint, now with the flint and steel, if you notice, I had the flint in my left hand and I had some char cloth on top of that, and I had the
Yes.
steel in my right hand.
Mhm.
Now I've had that char cloth for a while and it never goes bad. But if you notice, I was striking it and striking and striking.
Yeah.
There was embers, but they were not going onto the char cloth. So something I've never tried before, I've heard of. I said, well, I'm going to take the char cloth and put it in the tin can, and I'm going to take the steel, put it in my right hand, and take the flint and put the steel in my left hand, and the flint in the right hand, and strike downward, so the embers, the sparks would go downward, and that's what I did this time. So it was just experimenting with a different way, because I think I'm very proficient with using the fair sim rod, but I'm looking for challenges. Now, again, what would happen if I did not have flint and steel or the fair sim rod? That's where the friction will come in from using just nature. Now, theoretically, it's all in my head. I know how to do it. But you know how you have this barrier? I got to try, but you don't want to fail.
Right.
Again, I learned,
Right.
you have to fail in order to learn. So that's something that I'm working on, learning how to make a bow drill as well as using a hand drill. So those, because one day I'm just going to challenge myself and just like go out there, but I'm going to practice at home before I do go out there. But, I like for people to see the failures as well as the successes, because it's just not, you're just not going to walk out there and do it. It's going to take some tries.
Yeah.
Sure.
And that's what I was saying. I said, God, it's not lighting. And then you said you picked up a little bitty piece of kindling, and you said it's lit, and you put it there. But I said it's not lighting, and I was waiting till you give up and get a lighter, but you didn't do that. You didn't do that, I was just waiting and waiting.
Yeah.
Do you carry a Zippo with you as a good backup?
No, I don't carry a Zippo. I know when I go out there, I have about at least, I keep a lighter. I always keep a lighter and matches on me on my persons. And then in my gear 2, I keep a lighter and matches. And then in my gear 3, which is my rucksack, lighter and matches. But I don't have a Zippo lighter. I know I've never had it. My lighters are big lighters. And the reason why they say use the big lighters, it's something about if they run out of the fluid, that you can still strike it with the friction and get a spark. So yeah, but I've never used a Zippo lighter. But at all times, I have a fair sim rod on me at all times. One is in my cargo pocket. And once I get the fire started, my main ferrocerium rod goes back into the fire kit. So I keep one on me in the event that I have to just leave my area without anything. I know that I have enough materials on me that I'm going to be safe. So, I don't carry a Zippo lighter.
And everybody, there's some more people in the chat, but I just want to let everybody know to drop #creator.
Yep.
And everybody can connect to everybody. It's all about growing each other.
Right. There's some more people have made it into the chat, and some people were actually talking to you, and I'm going to make a pause whenever they say something about the topic. Clock Family Adventures Cruising Scene has made it in. Hello.
Hello.
Cruise Vet Adventures. Let me see. I'm scrolling. There's a lot of Nightbot stuff here. England is still in the house. And we got Pedroza Travel.
Hello, Pedroza.
And he says multi-tool is good. I keep one in each car I own.
Yes.
That's a good thing. And also Pedroza says, don't just follow the needle or you will go in circles. There's a smiley face by that. He says also in Scouts, we always had a bandana, very useful.
Okay.
He says, I never thought of using Gorilla Tape as a fire starter. Yeah, that's it's got the mesh the mesh on the top, and you just do a little separation. It'll feather out. I know
Mhm.
I knew what you were talking about whenever you were saying it. That's a
And see,
neat
that's
idea.
another thing. We were trying to guess what would be an essential thing in the bush, and he was getting some, I was getting some, and then you would come up with something else,
Right.
That's what was going on when we were watching you.
What fascinated me was the short thing that looks like something you could cook a meal in as well as drink out of, as you know, and then you put the thermos inside the cup.
Yeah.
Now explain to the viewers what that little cup is for on the
Okay.
bottom of your thermos.
The little cup is it's a nesting cup.
Mm-hmm.
Now that nesting cup, you can use it to boil your water. Let's say if you go to a creek, you go and get your water, you can put it in there, you can boil the water. You can also, if you want to cook some quick ramen noodles or oatmeal, you can actually cook in it. Also, you can use that to put your canteen. The canteen fits directly in it. Now,
Right.
I'm not sure if I don't think, well, I didn't bring with me on that trip, there's a stove that goes with that as well,
Oh, wow.
that you can put the nesting cup on, you can put the nesting cup on top of that stove.
Right.
That way, if you want to remain somewhat stealth, the military uses those. But it's a total mess kit. So it's a canteen that goes into the nesting cup, and the nesting cup can fit onto a little stove. But I used to carry like maybe 3 of those out there with me. But the more you learn, the less materials you take. So now I have, when I went out there, I have 2 of them. One that my canteen fits in, and then I have one that is totally round that my clean canteen fits in. So what I do, I can make hot coffee in the nesting cup, and then I will pour it into the other cup, because as soon as you take it off the fire, you don't want to put your lips on that. So you put it in the other one. So it's basically called a nesting cup. That you just
That's
slide.
be hot.
Yeah, it would be very hot.
Yeah.
And then when you take it off the fire, it is always good to have leather gloves on, because though the handles are very hot.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
we're learning.
Yeah.
We're
Yeah.
learning.
Also, Kyle Krippener Vlogs has made it into the chat. Hello. Derek's Journey.
Araya.
Rhea is in the chat. Hello.
Hey,
Welcome
Rhea.
in. And thank you guys for sticking along with us. This is all interesting information.
It
And again,
is.
if go check out this man's channel. I'm posting his link all throughout the chat. That way you can go check out his channel. We're trying to get him some followers, and also trying to get some people interested in various things that you can do,
Yes, because
such as bushcrafting. And if you want to learn the most excellent way to do it,
he's the man.
he takes his time explaining what everything
like
is
a
for,
teacher.
and he does it in a teaching way, and that really caused us to stay on your video is your cadence of explaining
Thank
everything.
you.
That's what I liked about it. You speak at my speed, if you will.
Yeah.
But yeah, we really appreciate it.
Yes,
And
we
another
do.
thing, I suggest, a lot of people they'll ask, "Are you afraid out there being alone?" Well, I think anyone who says they're not afraid, you're going to always have some fearness in you, but it's just trying to remain cognizant of where you are. You're out there in wildlife area. But I started out, when I first started doing this, I would go only a distance that at least I could see my vehicle. I'd go a little further. Well, I can't see it, but I know if I just go here and make a left, my vehicle's there.
Right.
The furthest that I go in now, well, I'll back up. After about maybe my 4th trip, I made this mistake. I went out, I made this nice shelter. I cooked some food. I laid down for a while, and I got up and I had processed so much wood, I couldn't believe it. And it's like, I'm not going to leave this wood here. So I put all this wood into my back, my rucksack,
Mm-hmm.
and went and started to leave. And I had hiked in maybe 2 miles.
Mm.
And that was the most difficult hike with about 65 pounds on my back.
Right.
So what I learned is that you really do not have to go that far because you're not hiking, you're going to explore.
Right.
The most I go now is maybe 300 yards. Now, what you can do is when you get to your base camp, you can explore further out from that area. If you're going to be there more than, a day or two, you can take that orange bandana hanging on a limb or somewhere that is very visible, and you can explore out a little further and further. Or you can take 2 bandanas, and it's called leapfrogging. Go a little further, put another orange bandana. You can do things like that. But you really don't have to go that far into the bush to really learn it, because once it's dark, it's dark, And to me, that's the learning portion, Have everything prepared by dark time. You don't want to be fiddling for something when it's dark. You're more prone to injuries.
We're wanting to take a trip, but we want to do it in a cabin and then venture out, like go to Oklahoma. We're in Texas.
Okay.
Go to Oklahoma to the cabin and venture out that way. Yes. And the only reason that we haven't done it yet is we haven't met anybody like you that, put out step by step what we need,
Yeah.
And
but that's a good idea. That's a good idea, starting in a cabin, because getting used to nature, just getting used to being out of your comfortable home, and at least you're out into the woods or into the bush. For me, from hunting so much, it was just like maybe a second nature thing,
Okay.
But that I suggest that to people before, But I understand what you're saying, because I've been out with other individuals before, but it's very, very difficult with everyone's work schedule, scheduling in, and that's the hardest part, getting people to go out with you. Now, another thing, and we used to do this when I was hunting, me and 2 other guys. At 12 o'clock, we knew someone was going to be sitting in the bed of that truck from 12 to 2. No matter how cold, someone's going to be in there. From 2 to 4, someone else is going to be there. And from 4 to 6, someone else is going to be there. So that allows you to sleep more comfortably, knowing that someone is watching out for you. And that's something that I would love to have, some guys with me that, I've had guys out there with me before, but we didn't do that. But I think that would be a very, very good idea, to have at least 3 people, while 2 are asleep, 1 is guarding and rotating. Yeah. Now, I did go out with this guy once, and we just automatically hit it off. He was up 1 hour feeding the fire. I was up the next hour. We didn't discuss it. So that, and again, I think that was the first time I had been out hunting with him. That just let me know he's used to the wildlife, and he's been out there before. But he said, man, that was just so cool. We never discussed it. I remember up 5 o'clock, I'm feeding the fire, I'm asleep. At 6 o'clock, he was back up doing it. But that's something that's very, very important.
That is wonderful.
Yep.
Well, we want to thank you.
Yeah.
For coming on, because this.
Thank you.
I couldn't let this pass. I told him about it, and he came and watched. Like I said, we watched you together. Yeah. And then today and yesterday, I called family members to see if they knew what it meant, and I see that they're in the chat, right? To see what bushcraft means.
Yes.
So everybody's learning in our family. Yes. Yes. And this is going to be a family adventure. You know,
Yes.
it's just not us. It's going to be a family trip. You know,
Yes.
that we're
Yeah.
going to go and do this. You know, it's going to be
And you will enjoy it, especially with family. You will enjoy it.
Mhm.
And you know, just don't rush it. The main thing is just go out there, have fun. If you just get one thing done real quickly, I have family in Texas as well. I'm from San Antonio, Texas.
Oh,
And I
we're
was, yeah,
Yeah, we're in Galveston.
okay. I have relatives in Houston and all over Texas, but I was with some family members in Seguin. And one of the proudest things is that when my cousin used a ferrocerium rod to start a fire, she had never done it before. But I was
Mhm.
surprised just from watching my videos. She had made some chips and everything. So,
Mhm.
but you will enjoy it. You will
Yes.
enjoy it.
Well, thank you for
Thanks.
coming on.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Everybody, if you haven't connected to the Virginia Bushcrafter, please get his link.
Yeah, the link has been dropped several times throughout the comments section. If you need to come back and check out the live chat replay, please do us a favor and connect with this man. If you ever want to take your grandson on a good
Or
camping trip,
granddaughter.
or granddaughter, or whatever,
Because it's going
watch
to be
his
our
videos.
granddaughter.
Watch his videos first.
Yes, please. You
Yep.
will learn a lot. You will learn a lot.
Absolutely.
And at 4:00 Central Standard Time, what's happening on your station?
Well, first of all, before we let our guests go, I wanted to ask: would you ever consider cruising, or have you ever cruised before?
I've never cruised before. My brother does a lot of cruising, and I
Mhm.
keep saying that's on my bucket list. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. I just haven't, but my brother does it all the time. And he and his wife tells me, once you go on the first one, you'll go on more.
You're
You'll
hooked.
be addicted.
You're addicted. Yeah, you're hooked. You're hooked after the first one. So whenever you're ready, come and check out both of our channels, JNS Adventures
Okay.
and Cruising is Fun anytime, and we show you the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything in between.
Yes.
Okay.
And,
I appreciate
and
it, Jeremy. I appreciate
yes.
it.
Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank
and
you
what's
both.
happening
Thank you,
before-
Cheryl.
Oh, at 4 o'clock, check out JNS Adventures live with special guests. We have the Cruise Life is coming on. We invite everybody to visit that channel, and also we're going to be coming live on Cruising is Fun anytime. Also, we will see you guys in about an hour.
We're going to go feed some seagulls.
Yes, we're going to
Okay.
go feed the birds. Everybody, take care of each other out there. We don't forget to hit the like button on the way out. Subscribe if you haven't done
And
so
thank
already.
you again.
Thank
And-
you, Cheryl. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you for having me.
Mhm.
Yes.
And remember, we
We
love
love
you.
you.
Okay.